twisted cat and mouse game always starts the same. First we're both down a plate and somehow you go astray. We went from nothing to something, like in a love scene.
Direction you can see from our camera and from the chopper shot there, that is a crawl. So this driver, fortunate at this point, he has not been hasn't hit the typical LA 5 o'clock gridlock just yet. But let's set the stage and just set the table for everyone in case you're just joining us. This is live coverage, Fox 11. That's Sky Fox over a white Kia Soul. There are believed to be 5 robbery suspects in this vehicle. We understand there is some damage to a right quarter panel. It's been going so fast, we haven't quite zoomed in enough to get a real gauge of the damage. Maybe that's it under the driver's side mirror. Not exactly sure. We're getting word that old Pasadena, there was a robbery there of a clock and watch store. Okay, hold on a second. Stop with the stage setting. It looks like, are we pulling over? Are we in them? No, on the shoulder.
And he certainly scraped aside
Looked
the
like
right
it,
side,
didn't
the
it?
passenger side, sure, as CHP is getting closer and closer. So, Dennis, at this point, what would be the right strategy for CHP? Because it looks like they're going to try to do a pit him. They're trying to pit him.
They're making some type of, there's some aggressive action here by police. Dennis, that looked like that officer was trying to speed up, maybe try to spin him out. What do you think? What's going on here?
Well, it's very difficult to do the pit maneuver on a freeway, extremely difficult. But this, obviously, vehicle is driving in a very, very careless, reckless manner. I won't see reckless
driving like maniacs. Yeah,
absolutely. But prior to this point, when the CHP got involved, he was driving extremely fast, negotiating lane changes continuously. As we can see, he's trying to flee, get away. The CHP officer is right on his tail. Behind the CHP is the number of LAPD units. I'm sure additional CHP units will join this. Normally, you don't use the pit maneuver on a freeway, but in extreme circumstances, if they can employ, but then they may jump out of the vehicle and take hostages. All kinds of situations could happen after that if that vehicle comes to a stop. But that officer from the CHP, there's probably a solo officer in that vehicle. They don't ride tandem until the evening hours, but they are going to be backed up by the Los Angeles Police Department, which has a number of units, again, with the helicopter overhead. But as you can see by the speed, the lane change this person's negotiating, they're definitely hot to get away, and nothing's going to stop them other than traffic, where they get blocked into traffic, and who knows what action they'll take at that particular moment. So it's extremely hazardous, extremely dangerous, and I feel for those people that are going to be caught in that gridlock situation on the 101.
It seems that he's going even faster now, speeds of 100 miles per hour plus. Dennis, I've covered a lot of pursuits with you, and I have not seen a CHP act so aggressively on the open road like this.
No, this officer is definitely using techniques to try and get him to stop, because the hazard is he's going to plow into someone and get someone injured, critically injured, or worse than that. But you see that officer is right on his tail and utilizing what resources he has within that CHP vehicle. But this individual who's fleeing is definitely trying to do everything he can to get away, and that officer is, again, accelerating to stay up with him. and the speeds are obviously excessive. Right now, he's probably towards Highland and the 101. Traffic should start to be building as he gets towards Sunset Hollywood Boulevard. That freeway normally
just passing Sunset at this point.
I'm surprised it's not gridlocked at this time, because normally at this hour, northbound is, as we can see. Southbound's normally from Highland down to Sunset, Hollywood, et cetera, Vermont, Western, gets gridlocked. So,
it's getting a little bit more congested, just as you're saying that. And again, you have a delayed picture just by a couple of seconds. So another dangerous lane change, several of them carelessly weaving across all 4 lanes. This is the 101 South, just passing Sunset in the Hollywood area. And Dennis was alluding to that backup. Oh, gosh.
He's on the shoulder again.
He's on the shoulder again.
Scraped the side. It looked like under an overpass or some type of bridge. Dennis, it looks like the lead officer that was giving chase there has fallen back a bit, maybe just out of safety. I don't know if it just gave him the shake for just a moment, but this driver clearly, as we watch, is willing to do anything to get away from officers on the ground, even passing within inches of other vehicles, and an extremely wild and dangerous high rate of speed. But can't get away from the chopper. Those eyes in the sky are impossible to get away from. Where are we turning now? We're turning onto. Are they stopping? Okay, it looks like they're bailing out.
He's on this.
Well, okay, so they're bailing out, and it looks like we were saying there were 5. It looks like there are five men, I would say, or 5 people at least, running down the street.
They bailed.
And they just split.
And they're all going in different directions. One's jumping a fence. Another 2 looks like continued running up the sidewalk here.
Yeah, they're going to go in different directions.
So Sky Fox still has a look at 4 of them right now. We can see 4, and of course now the sun setting on this first sunset of winter, and then there they are at the corner. That one suspect took off right away and turned right and hopped some sort of a fence. We saw that earlier. So now they're all sticking together here, and it looks like they're going down an alleyway. It's not clear if they are familiar with this particular neighborhood.
Right.
Well, normally they would split. Split up in different directions. But as you're going to see, the K-9 will jump in. They'll have a number of ground units from Hollywood Division get involved in this, along with the ones in the pursuit.
Well, sorry, Dennis. I just want to tell everybody, this is wild TV we're seeing here. 4 of the 5 managed to stick together. It looks like they're taking some cover inside. Is this a storage unit? Remember, these are armed robbery suspects. There was
made a hard right over a fence, so he's in another portion of this neighborhood.
All right, there's the officers. There's the officers, and I believe it was the other way, guys.
No, those were the suspects.
Those were the suspects.
Yes,
sorry.
those were
Yeah, those were the suspects. Okay, apologies. Just caught a glimpse there. Yeah, there they are. They're still hopscotching sort of this neighborhood, climbing from fence to fence. You're right. We haven't seen officers there just yet. I'm sure they're racing over and trying to get there, but it looks like that's at least 1, 2, 3. 3, so maybe another one.
There's 4 there. There's 4
there. Oh, okay, I see the 4th now. Yeah, we're all seeing the same thing. So
and see, the problem is that people have residents. They break into a resident. Now they're going to have hostages. So people in that area need to lock down their homes, make sure they're safe and secure, because these folks can break in the door real simple and get into a residence, and those means prevent. I mean, the pursuit has come to an end, but again, they fled on foot, and now we've got the foot search taking place with sufficient ground units and air unit overhead.
Yes, the police have this particular neighborhood surrounded. This is near Melrose, North Kingsley in Hollywood. Under that garage awning there, that's the last that we saw of those 4 suspects who have banded together. One had taken off when they foot bailed earlier, so who knows where that suspect is. But the 4 of them there are near this auto works building. Potentially that like parking lot there.
Ballistic Auto Works, if you're familiar, if you know that area. You can see how hard it is, can imagine, for the officers on the ground. I mean, it's tricky even for a chopper, which is largely unobstructed, to keep an eye here because of the shade, the cover, I would say, like Marla was talking about a moment ago. This covered parking, we saw them just kind of hopscotching and leapfrogging there by that red car. We haven't seen them in a few moments. But maybe they will pop up once again. You see,
there's movement under that roof. There's movement under there.
So they're there. The officers maybe don't totally realize yet, but they're just feet away from these suspects, and I'm sure they're coordinating and they're communicating and talking, and they will get there. But there was the one that jumped and went in his own direction, and so we believe there are probably 3 or 4. It looked like the other 4 kind of stayed together under that awning, kind of to the center left of your screen where there was that red vehicle. You can see here the officers have blocked off the roads.
They've got this boxed in.
There's no in or out. That's right, Marla.
So
well, they will do a house-to-house search if that need be, but again, they bring in the canine. The canine will get that scent from the car. But again, there's sufficient ground units there along with the air unit. They need to get these people into custody as quickly as possible. Again, you have a heavy populated area with residents and children, and that's the key issue that I've got concerned about, is the safety of the general public. That has absolutely nothing to do with these suspects. But these suspects obviously are fleeing, apparently a robbery, and who knows what they'll do. And if they've been to prison, they don't want to go back. So that's the kind of situation that we're dealing with. Very, very hazardous, very dangerous for not only the officers but the public at large to get these people into custody as quickly as possible.
So although the pursuit has come to an end, that was dangerous in itself, and really a miracle that no vehicles were impacted during that, because there were speeds of 100 miles per hour on the 134, on the southbound 101. And again, this started in Pasadena and made its way through freeways in Glendale and then in North Hollywood, and now ending up here in Hollywood, where these 5 suspects, these robbery suspects of potentially a jewelry store or a watch repair store, is what we're being told, armed. They did that foot bail there, and now they are doing their best to stay out of custody, but it won't be long until officers get them.
We have a video, everybody, of the foot bail. That's we wanted to show it to you in the top corner of your screen. I believe is the live picture, and on the right side there you can see they all bailed out. And Dennis, I want to ask you, so there are definitely 5 of them that ran from the vehicle. One kind of veers off to the right there and jumps a fence. The other 4 seem to bunch and stay together. I don't know how much thought they give to it in this moment, but staying together, separating, seems like it would make it easier for them to get away and more difficult for police to catch up to them.
Absolutely, and oftentimes they will separate. If you've got 5 in 5 different directions, but the 4 that are waiting for additional resources, they do have sufficient ground units, but the supervisor at the scene will make that determination. Again, they want to cordon off that area. They know they're contained.
Oh, there it is, top right
area.
of the screen. I believe top right of the screen. We were seeing there just a moment ago. I know they're. If I could control the camera myself, as it pulls out that White House, right on the other side, there was somebody I just saw kind of like a little Pink Panther move, screaming right up against the house and tiptoeing. And so it's hard to make out, of course, this time of day. It's dark, and there were 5 of them, not just 1 or 2. And so there is a lot that they're trying to manage, but the light still and the camera still seems to be focused on this awning, this parking space here where that red car is, and we did see them go under there a moment ago. Could they have given the camera the slip? Possibly. It is dark, and it's tough to keep to wrangle or to keep them, I should say, in an eye shot. So we're watching, but they're not going to they're not getting out of there. I mean, we can see every as of yet. So tell us, Dennis, as we watch and you're watching, what are you seeing that we're not?
Well, if you notice, some of those police cars are not LAPD. They may be Pasadena or other allied agencies, because they're not all LAPD. Looking at the insignias on the side of the cars, so you've got other agencies that are coordinating this with the Highway Patrol and with LAPD. So the crime occurred in Pasadena, so Pasadena will be the primary agency to apprehend the suspects. LAPD will be assisting along with the California Highway Patrol. So you've got that interagency that has to connect back and forth. So if it was a Pasadena crime, the jurisdictions in Pasadena, again, CHP was involved in the pursuit, LAPD is involved. So you've got at least 3 agencies that I can see that are involved in this. But there'll be a coordination of efforts. There'll be a supervisor who'll be directing that. Once you lock down that neighborhood and you lock down that neighborhood tight, which I believe by this time it's all locked down, they will do the systematic search, and they may be waiting at this particular time for canine to arrive. And we've got canine available throughout the city. So they may be locked down, everything's tight, no one's getting in, no one's getting out, and then they'll start doing the search. Again, when you've got residential units, you've got commercial, you've got to go in, you've got to inspect, you've got to make sure that people are safe, they haven't taken hostages. So this really compounds and makes it more complex, not just a pursuit where a suspect flees and runs into a field or a parking lot. You've got a very dangerous situation with armed robbery suspects, 5 of them, 4 basically in the same area, 1 that fled separate from the other 4. We know, according to reports, there was a weapon. We don't know how many, but now it is really extreme hazard to the officers, extreme hazard to the neighborhood. And these suspects, I'm sure, if we look at their record, they've been through this before, and they've probably done some time in prison, and they're out on the street again committing what they know how to do, and that's commit heinous crimes. This is a very, very serious crime with robbery, very serious pursuit, as we saw the pursuit live through the assistance of Skyfox. So what we're doing is a wait and see, lockdown. They'll lock this neighborhood down as long as they need to. Again, I'll emphasize to the public, if you live in that area and you hear something, see something, notify 911. If there's someone in your backyard prowling around, call 911. It's important that these officers know where these suspects are located. They could break into a house. They could take hostages. There's all types of scenarios that can take place. But again, as you see, they've got Melrose blocked off in one direction, ground units there surrounding the area, sufficient units in place for that particular situation. The systematic search will take place, but it won't take place until we get the canines in place to assist with that, and the ground units will be insisting that, and they'll do a systematic search of that neighborhood since everything is locked down. And as you see by this picture, you've got units surrounding that neighborhood, and we know that they're contained in that neighborhood, whether they're in a house or in a garage or under a house or a crawl space, whatever the case may be. The dogs will be able to do that scent, and it's going to take some time. These people are hiding out, as we saw from the pursuit, desperate to flee, driving in a very, very dangerous fashion, endangering a lot of people on the roadway. And now we've got all these people in this particular neighborhood who are all potential victims of these individuals. If they break into a residence and take those people hostage, these officers have to be alert to that and be aware of that. So this is a very, very dangerous situation for the residents, the officers, and as far as the suspects, they probably figure they have nothing to lose.
Unfortunately, I was just going to say, unfortunately, as you were saying there, Dennis, there are many places to hide, even in this compact area that they are boxed in.
Somewhere in that area, that's where they're located. They're definitely contained in the area. So it isn't going to hold off, I believe, until we get a canine unit or canine units in there. You see that vehicle that's passing the police, the vehicle that's on camera right now, that's the Pasadena Police Department. So we know we got Pasadena, we know we have patrol, we know we have LAPD. So again, you got multiple agencies involved. They'll be coordinated with each other. But again, once you can get the canine and start that search, that's critical, because a canine is very effective in locating individuals, and that's what we're looking for. But in the meantime, these individuals will be breaking into a residence, hold people hostage. There's no telling what they're doing. They're obviously very, very dangerous felons who involved in that pursuit, as we saw, the very, very high-speed dangerous pursuit, and then fleeing and going to a populated area. For all the factors involved, it's extremely hazardous for that neighborhood, extremely hazardous for the officer. So what they will do is a systematic search, but they want to get the proper equipment, the proper detail in place, and the canine would be the lead to make sure that they have a sufficient group that can do the search. And those canines are very well trained. They know how to seek out suspects and to take them into custody. Again, you've got 4 robbery suspects, high-speed pursuit, robbery in Pasadena.
Right.
Five.
Right.
4 contained at one time, apparently, and 1 split by himself. So you have a total of 5 suspects committed a robbery in Pasadena and then fled, and now they're in the Hollywood area. So I believe this is maybe East Hollywood, if I'm not mistaken, where they finally ended up.
Well, this is for sure the main thoroughfare there that you alluded to being shut down. So westbound lanes of Melrose Avenue near North Kingsley, and that's one of those intersections there. This entire neighborhood on lockdown, boxed in. And when you say that they're doing a systematic search, Dennis, I'm curious, so are they already within the roots of this neighborhood, so to speak? Are officers already doing that right now?
No, I believe what they're doing is they're waiting for canine. What they'll do is they'll secure the area. They'll have that area secure, all angles of the area. They know they're contained within a specific area. They believe they're contained within a specific area. They will lock that area down, and then they will do the systematic search. They want to make sure that they've got...
Dennis, and we're seeing now, it looks like they are moving in. We're just giving our viewers a play-by-play, and there is the canine that you were talking about. So it may have taken a few moments, but it looks like they got organized. It's not like they were going anywhere. They do have this area of Kingsley and Melrose boxed in. We see officers here, guns drawn, providing cover for each other, and the canine there on the ground. Haven't really seen a lot of activity. I think we saw somebody crossing the street a moment ago. I don't know if that was a suspect. It's possible it was a neighbor. If you're watching us in this area, stay inside, stay in your home. Don't come outside right now. There are 5 robbery suspects, 4 that failed together, 1 that sort of took off in their own direction. But now we're seeing what you described sort of play out, Dennis. The officers on the ground with the canine, and it looks like they're going to go door to door, home to home. There are businesses here as well. It looks like it's a mixed use or whatever area community.
Right.
And what else, Marla? What are you saying?
I just saw in that picture of the Bangkok Market. That's right at Melrose Avenue and North Harvard Boulevard. So this is now North Harvard Boulevard and Melrose coming up on Hobart Boulevard in Hollywood. So Dennis, as we see those officers with their guns drawn and the canine, which you had already called earlier, does this mean that they are getting wind of? Does the canine know that does the dog know that these suspects are in this particular block?
Well, the dog is trained, and there's a handler, and that's what they were waiting for. They were waiting for the canine to arrive with the handler. As you notice, the weapons that the officers are carrying are not just their sidearms. They're carrying rifles, shotguns, etc. Again, these are armed suspects, so they have to be prepared, knowing what type of weapons the suspects have. So you'll see long guns that the officers are going to be utilizing in this search. They'll do a methodical search, but the K9 is trained to go in and they'll be searching every nook and cranny where they believe, in that particular area, where they believe the suspects could be hiding. Once they get that scent, they'll get the suspects, take them into custody, hopefully peacefully, and if not peacefully, then it's up to the suspects how they want to be apprehended. One way or another, they're going to lock this area down. They're going to keep it locked down. They're going to bring in a resource, which they now have the K9, which is the tool that they would use to do the systematic search. Officers going door to door by themselves without that doesn't really assist. So this is optimum deployment of personnel and resources. Again, they have the time on their side. The suspects are obviously trying to flee. They're contained in this particular area. At least we believe that. So this systematic search may take some time. They will do a systematic search. They may bring additional K9s and divide this up.
All right, Dennis, we thank you for your expertise. It does look like it's going to be a while. A door-to-door search could be hours.
Against time. It is unclear at this point.
Suspects are basically hunkered down there in the darkness. The LAPD here on scene. Melrose now becoming shut down because of the police activity. And again, this happening at the corner of Melrose and Harvard in the Hollywood area. Live in Sky 2, I'm Stu Mandel. Back to you two in the studio. All right. Copy. No, definitely. You can see the officers that we were just talking to about. They are made their way. They're actually calling out. That's going to be the homeowner. That's the homeowner right there. Elderly gentleman. It must be confusing, if not scary, for that guy. And opening up the gate. You can see that electric gate making its way open right now as that person making his way out. But we're keeping an eye on what's going on back over here. Now, these are armed suspects, and that is very important. That adds an extra layer. Officers, they have to treat this a little bit differently. They can't just go in like gangbusters trying to take these guys into custody. But the last spot we saw them was right there by that red car in that carport. There's a lot of little hiding spaces in the back of the property, and we've been keeping an eye on the area along with a lot of other law enforcement helicopters that are out here. Not saying that we're law enforcement, we're media, keeping that separate. But